So, last week Blizzard finally released Overwatch into a short period of open beta testing, meaning I was finally able to get some hands-on experience with the game, despite signing up for the closed beta like a year ago. Regardless, even before the open beta was released, I felt like I had already learned everything about Overwatch by proxy. Seriously, between Reddit, YouTube, Twitch, and Source Filmmaker, who hasn't at least heard of Overwatch at this point in time? Even before playing the game, I often found myself laughing at random Overwatch memes and immediately asking myself, wait, why do I know that's funny?
You're fucking a white
Female.
You're a white
Woman. Amazing PR management on Blizzard's part, although the whole Tracer Butspiracy and the Nostralis server drama would indicate otherwise. But I guess the saying, there is no such thing as bad publicity, holds true in this particular case. Anyways, what I'm getting at is, although the game just finished its small window of open beta testing, I feel like everything I have to say about it has probably already been said. So I'll try to avoid discussing the obvious mechanics in favor of my honest opinions of the game overall. With that said, my first general consensus with Overwatch is that it is a game designed for casuals. Jokes aside, I stress to you guys that I don't mean that in a disparaging manner. It's a shame that nowadays casual games automatically have this sort of negative connotation attached to them. Now, whether that be from the oversaturation of shovelware in the industry or some other perpetuating stigma is up for debate. But truthfully, just being a casual game alone does not inherently a bad game make. Wait, does that make sense? In fact, it should be no surprise that the majority of people nowadays actually prefer playing casual games. You know, ones where you can just drop in and have fun, like with Overwatch. Case in point, despite having a plethora of characters to choose from, each with their own unique abilities and weapons, the learning curve for most of Overwatch's heroes is very small, if not non-existent, which isn't a bad thing. Blizzard has done a great job in combining MOBA aspects to the FPS arena genre, streamlining most of their character archetypes. By making each character's roles and usages more easily understood, Overwatch provides players of all skill levels with the immediate tools to succeed. However, don't misinterpret that to mean that the game can't be or isn't competitive. Much like TF2, which in my opinion was the most successful of the casual arena shooters, a greatly skilled team will almost always beat an averagely skilled one. But besides that, I would say characters in Overwatch are generally a lot easier to use than their pseudo TF2 counterparts. For one, unlike many other FPS games, you don't have to worry about running out of ammunition, which does encourage bullet spamming in some sections of the map. Furthermore, instead of having to properly learn how to rocket or sticky jump, which has an insane skill ceiling by itself, most of the Overwatch movement skills are relegated to the press of a button. Although, to be fair, I have seen some crazy movement clips from while running Lucio's and Mercy's Angel Hop, so it might be too early in the game's lifespan to say for sure. Honestly, this game reminds me a lot of Super Monday Night Combat, only with a bigger budget, more polish, and much better waifus. But in contrast to SMNC and other arena-based shooters, Overwatch employs a rather unique elimination system that adds fire to your mixtape and ultimate bar based on damage dealt. Personally, I like the shared elimination system adding to ultimate recharge and fire rating, but it's all very confusing if you don't have kill feeds enabled. Yeah, I know the little skull icon pops up to represent a killing blow, but with the same elimination text being used for all kills and assists, I do get things a bit mixed up.
Damn. That's so funny, dude.
In fact, I was a bit annoyed to find that kill feeds are disabled by default, which leads me to believe that Overwatch's elimination system is set to be ambiguous on purpose, adding to the casual appeal. On top of that, in-game there aren't really any comparative leaderboards to speak of. Let me clarify. I know at the end of the game Overwatch shows the top players who contributed in various aspects, which I actually adore, but personally I would prefer at least an expandable list so as to benchmark my performance. Like, I don't need a complete list of how everybody did in every division, but if you're going to award someone with the best performance in a category, at least show me the top 3 statistics so I can see how I and others compare.
Man, people want to suck your cock.
Again, I understand the removal of a detailed scoreboard was more or less to appeal to the broader audience, but I think the game could benefit from the option to turn one on, like with kill feeds. Of course, we can't talk about scoreboards without mentioning Overwatch's Play of the Game recap. As much as people ridicule it for its repetitive nature,
Fuck that guy.
Oh, of course.
Burrito pito.
and sometimes ridiculous choices, I can't really fault Overwatch for trying. It's understandably difficult to create an algorithm that decides which moment of a multiplayer match makes the play of the game, but truthfully the current iteration does seem to favor damage dealt in short succession, leading to rather repetitive replays of the same champions doing the same thing. In this way, the play of the game does kinda snub support players from their 5 seconds of fame, but at least for the most part their contributions still show up on the ending scoreboard. Overall, most of the complaints I have about the gameplay and UI are fairly minor, as I surprisingly found myself enjoying the game a lot more than I originally expected. It could also be because I was pretty drunk, but having a casual FPS game you can enjoy while drinking is always a plus in my book. Honestly, have you ever tried playing CSGO while blasted?
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. That's the color of
Yo,
my
I don't
shit.
appreciate you talking like that, Frank, you fucking dick.
Whoa. Anyhow, I'm sure some of the heroes in Overwatch are probably a little overpowered, while others could use a buff or two. But keep in mind that the game technically still hasn't been released yet. Balancing so many different characters takes time. As it is now, the combination of Overwatch's diverse set of heroes with their various skill sets and mechanics make for some very enjoyable gameplay moments. Plus, with such a low learning curve, the barrier for entry is almost non-existent. As much as I hate to say it, there does seem to be something for everyone. Granted, that's just my opinion from playing the various casual modes, but I do look forward to sampling Overwatch's competitive portion when the game releases. That is, if I decide to buy it.
This time, I'll finish the job.
While I may seem to be singing the many praises of Overwatch and all its waifu glory, I can't ignore the game's steep shipping price of $40 US. Albeit at least that's not the full $60 price tag, rip console players, you still have to consider the fact that many other arena shooters are either free to play or priced at a much lower and competitive rate. Remember that TF2 originally shipped for only $20 as part of the orange box, which also contained the original Portal and Half-Life 2. In the current market share dominated by mostly free-to-play or cheaply priced multiplayer games, $40 upfront is a rather risky price to pay for a new IP with questionable longevity. Unlike Call of Duty or Battlefield, Overwatch has yet to establish itself with a deep-rooted fanbase. Realistically, a new IP like Overwatch is probably more comparable to other AAA titles like Titanfall or Evolve. I mean, does anyone even remember those games? To paraphrase user Stezer Lulz, both had a staggering amount of hype upon release, and sold millions of copies. Both are now ghost towns. The market wasn't super keen on paying that much for multiplayer only to begin with, and now they're even more skittish as a result. Nevertheless, a higher price tag alone doesn't automatically doom Overwatch to fail. In fact, on a more positive note, it should actually discourage a large amount of cheaters from repurchasing multiple accounts. Yes, sadly, there are hackers in the game already, but I'm interested to see how Blizzard will deal with them. Furthermore, we're talking about Blizzard here. They've certainly got the pedigree to sustain a major title for extended periods of time, provided they don't fuck up like they did with Diablo 3. Also, it's probably a little too early to comment on how exactly Blizzard will go about their business model for Overwatch over time. Of course, those of you who have played already have no doubt noticed the in-game loot crates that drop after every level, containing various goodies like skins, voice clips, and in-game currency. If they could somehow implement player-to-player trading with these types of goodies, it should increase the game's longevity and popularity exponentially. Honestly, if they do it to even a fraction of how Valve does it, Overwatch would be set for life. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Did you get a chance to play Overwatch last week?
Thank God.
Have you bought or are you planning on buying the game? And if so, why? Foos. Either way, whether I end up buying the game or not, I'm still gonna be enjoying all of the, extra fan content. May God have mercy on my soul.
野蛮ですね。見守ってますよ。